SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Sunday night, you can call it the hangover edition of the Rebel Report. My name is Michael Borky. Always glad that you guys are here, especially after the weekend that you got to have. For those of you that got to go to Oxford, that got to go to the game and experience that for yourself. I know that there is just a ton of hurt livers and heads, among other things today. I've spoken to a lot of very happy and hungover people, but I'm really glad that you guys are here, regardless of how you're feeling. I know happy is one of those things. What a really cool weekend. We talked about it yesterday. We don't need to rehash it much, but that was the weekend that the fans and the team, so you guys and the players on the field, deserved, and you got it. Everything went perfectly. Ole Miss gets a win, and now on to Georgia. And because it can never be easy, even through the unprecedented situation that Ole Miss football currently finds itself in, considering, everything that's gone on the last few weeks, a video comes out via LSU football. The Ole Miss offensive coaching staff is back in Baton Rouge, including, not surprised, but including Kevin Smith. So we will talk about that and more. Read your comments on this edition of the show. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search Rebel Report and subscribe, and leave a rating and a review if you like what you hear anyway. But don't forget to subscribe in your favorite podcast app. Also right here on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Would really appreciate you doing just that. This edition is brought to you in part by Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out online at toyotaofbrookhaven.com. Again, that is the website, toyotaofbrookhaven.com. And they're off of Exit 40, but you can shop anywhere. They will deliver the best car buying experience in the state of Mississippi. They will also give you $1,000 off on me, any in-stock new Toyota, $1,000 off on me if you just simply tell them that I sent you. Check them out, Toyota of Brookhaven. So let's start with this, because it is got a lot of people talking, and it's the video that LSU football tweeted out at 4 o'clock, and it said, "Sunday fun day with hashtag this place is just different." And it is the coaches that are going from Ole Miss to LSU arriving in Baton Rouge, back in the facility. You see Charlie Weiss Jr., you see a couple of the other ones, you see Kevin Smith also walking up the stairs with Lane Kiffin doing a little peace sign, as they are going to apparently work today. And so I'll read through what I put out on Twitter, and of course there's some new context to add to this. And I said, so the Ole Miss/LSU coaches went back to Baton Rouge today, including Kevin Smith, hashtag breaking, which sure enough, one of the Scoops guys was like, breaking sources says Kevin Smith to be the next running backs coach at LSU. It's like, buddy, are your sources the video from LSU showing him walking into the facility? Sources, yeah. My source is the video that they posted online. And I said, a little surprised they don't have obligations in Oxford today and tomorrow because, Georgia, unless ... And then somebody replied, said they aren't coming back. And I said, I don't know, but they play Georgia next week in the playoff. Every hour they're away working for LSU. They're not working to help Ole Miss. At this point, I wonder if they, besides Charlie, are worth the hassle. Maybe they are. I'm not smart enough to know. So, as it turns out, they don't have obligations in town. That they did whatever they did today, and they've got a few days off. Actually, on Twitter, apparently, there's no obligations that they have a few days off. And so the LSU coaches chose to go down to Baton Rouge because they have no obligations in Oxford. So that helps contextualize it a little bit, but I still, let me start here. It is clear and obvious that Pete Golding has handled all of this beautifully. I mean, he got thrust into a situation that no coach has ever been in before. I mean, you can't even lean on guys that you coached with or under for advice and experience because nobody's ever dealt with what he dealt with before. So gets the job, has to keep the staff intact as best he can. Signing day a couple days later, and then a playoff game to get ready for, all while the collective is trying to get deals for next year done, and you've got to hire a staff for next year also, and the tampering portal is going on. He's dealt with so much, and what was so impressive about the way they played yesterday was dealing with all of that and dealing with all of the distraction and all the things that come with it to look good the way they did and play as well as they did. And that was his first time being a head coach in a game like that, and they played great. He's navigated all of this beautifully. I don't know um, what else he could be doing here with staff and things like that. I don't know what the better options are, if there are any at all. You can talk yourself into um, like, hey, this is just what it is. You knew this going in. They played well yesterday. They're working two jobs. They're balancing it. They're professionals, all that stuff. And it's fine. It's not even worth talking about. This is totally fine. And you also can talk yourself into the other side. Wait a minute. Hold on. Not even 24 hours after they coach a playoff game in Oxford, they're already in Baton Rouge working. You play Georgia next week in the playoff, and you are spending any amount of time in a different facility besides that one. That seems like a very bad use of time, resources, energy, and also a lack of preparation going into the biggest game that any of these guys have coached or played in before. Maybe not Pete. Pete's got a national championship coordinator, but most of them have not been in this position, and if they have, it's quite comparable. So you can talk yourself into all of these things being good or bad, and the truth is always lies somewhere in the middle. One, it's quite petty to avoid using other adjectives that would probably get me in trouble for LSU to do that. Obviously, trying to steal some thunder or whatever, trying to bring the attention away from this and back on themselves. And look, if I ran LSU social media, I would do the exact same thing too. That's their job, and they did their job the right way. But I do think it's fair to wonder if now they're getting, and by they I mean the players, are going to get the best possible effort out of those that are right now currently in Baton Rouge. Because I guess the team's getting sent home for Christmas. There may not be a whole lot to do in terms of getting ready for Georgia. I would assume they've spent the last couple of weeks doing a lot of game planning for Georgia. They're obviously, it's a team that they've already played as well, so a lot of the route game planning has probably already happened in scouting and things like that. But this is the college football playoff. This is Georgia, and the game it's next week. And you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to apply too much pressure to yourself. But guys that will be coaching for Ole Miss, presumably, in their game against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl next week are at the present in Baton Rouge working for LSU. And I think it's fair to wonder if that is the best use of the time allotted for this game. I think Pete has earned the trust and the benefit of the doubt. I think that what he believes is best for the players is best for the players. And apparently he's got a Zoom press conference tomorrow. And if he says all is well, no big deal, then all is well and no big deal. But I can't escape this thought right here. What do you think Kirby Smart's staff is doing right now? Maybe he did send them home for 5 days. Maybe they're not going to be at the facility over the next 5 days. But what do you think Kirby Smart and his staff are going to be doing over the next 48 hours? It sure as hell isn't going to be working for Auburn. And again, that's not Pete Golding's fault. It's not the team's fault. Those two groups, the staff that is staying, Pete Golding himself, and the team have handled all this beautifully. None of that is their fault. But I can't help but wonder if now Ole Miss is getting the best effort out of these coaches, considering where they are. Like, take Kevin Smith, for example. Maybe there's nothing he can do. Maybe there's nothing he needs to do. But Kejuan Lacey is hurt. I assume he'll play. Pete Golding called it a bruised shoulder. Color me skeptical. I get bruises. Bruises don't look like that. But he is hurt. Assume he'll play. But he got hurt yesterday. What happens if he gets hurt again? Georgia's a big physical football team. They are. And what happens if he bangs up that shoulder again? Maybe Logan Diggs and Damian Taylor don't need to get ready any differently than they currently do. But wouldn't what's best for Ole Miss be those guys being around, being at the facility, getting a little extra work, even just hanging out with the guys before they go home for Christmas, just being around, putting your extra time in where you currently are to make sure that every single T is crossed and I is dotted in this. And again, if Pete thinks that they're doing that, then they are. But I do think it's fair to question, is this what's best now? Now, regardless of what happens, I think, especially considering the game that he called yesterday, Charlie Weiss comes back regardless. But, I mean, Lane Kiffin's sharing posts online with the video of these guys coming back, talking about, hey, the portal opens on the 2nd, hashtag BTA, all that stuff. That is what Ole Miss coaches are doing right now. They're working for LSU, and I can't get that out of my mind. It's not normal. The idea that, it's just a normal game week, or, they're taking a few days off and they'll be back for a normal game week. It's not normal. None of this is normal. It is the exact opposite of normal. And there's been a lot of rumors floating around. I don't know if any of them are actually true, so it's hard to even talk about them. But if there's any semblance of truth to anything that is going around about, tampering and meetings and stuff, if any of that is true at all, they should not be allowed back. That's just my opinion. You're free to disagree. But you're playing next week a team that scored on literally every single possession of the game. Last time you played them, earlier this season, on every possession of the game they scored. And Ole Miss had probably its worst quarter of offense with the game on the line last time you played them as well. And Kirby Smart is psychotic in preparation and motivation. And I'm talking in circles. I need to just go ahead and get to your comments. But I do think that what LSU did today was intentional. I do think there's intentional disruption happening, even if the guys on the staff are not involved in it. I don't buy that necessarily. But your team and your program is being intentionally disrupted. It is being tampered with, which everybody tampers, but still, that is happening. Your players are being tampered with by LSU. That is happening. And publicly, there is an effort to disrupt and distract. And so I'm curious to hear what Pete's answer is tomorrow, because I don't think it's unfair to ask if this is what's best for the players and the team at this point. Because to me, Charlie's different because he's the play caller. But I'm too dumb to not have this thought. Maybe this is the dumbest thing in the world. But at this point, what difference does the tight end coach make one way or the other at this point? What difference does he make? Maybe a ton. I don't know. But is there really a massive difference between Joe Cox and, I mean, you've already got John David Baker on staff. He's been a tight ends coach in this system at that school. Is there really that much of a difference? What changes with him not coming back? Maybe everything. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know that answer. But I understood the continuity piece and why they wanted everybody to stay. That video today and then being away and working for LSU right now has kind of changed my mind on that. And yes, I know, it's Christmas. They're giving them some time off. I know it's different. I know that their season is a grind in ways that my life certainly is not. But I only get 2 days off this week. Most people I know only get 2 days off this week. I mean, I'm going to be talking about this game this week more than the coaches will be preparing for it this week anyway. Again, I know they've done a lot of legwork before, and there's some hyperbole in that statement, but I am not going to see my family for Christmas because covering the playoffs for the radio show it's vital that I'm here to do that tomorrow at 3 and Tuesday at 3 and Friday at 3. It's vital that I'm there for that. It's too big for us to run best ofs and do fill-ins and stuff. It's too big for that. So circumstances are changing my work behavior. I don't know. Fascinating. It's certainly not normal. The quality of opponent is drastically changing. So that's another angle to this too. Is look, it seemed like they all handled it professionally. They looked great on Saturday. Yeah, it was Tulane. It was a team that you were physically better than at every single position on the field. And they also had a coach that is halfway out the door as well, that had already taken another job. But you're physically better than them at every position on the field. The quality of opponent drastically changes next week. And again, it's a team that beat you. It's a team where you're the worst quarter possibly of the season. And your defense got scored on in every single possession. I don't think a week off and half your staff in Baton Rouge working for LSU optically is not something that we can't question. Sorry, it sounds like somebody's right outside my window. And it shouldn't sound like there's somebody right outside my window. I will check on that, and we'll get to your comments. I'll stop talking in circles, but we'll get to your comments after I tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online at absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered for all of your Mississippi office technology needs. So if I send you, you'll get a complimentary office technology assessment to tell you what you need and what your budget is. Hold on, guys. There is somebody in my yard right now. Hold on. I'll be right back. There's somebody in my yard. Sorry about that. I'll edit that in post-production. There's two people in my yard. They looked like teenagers, and one was a girl. So I'm not particularly worried. But there were two people in my yard just now, like right by my front door. They stopped and looked, and one of them waved. Don't know what they were doing, but again, they looked like teenagers. And one was a girl. So, anyway, I'm back. Also, Priority One Bank, they make you their priority every single day with their online banking platform. So it's a one-stop shop. All you need is an internet connection. You can do whatever it is that you need to do with your money. Also, local loan servicing and decision making. That's what they do at Priority One Bank. They make you their priority. All right, to the comments we go. For those listening in podcast form, they are going to be Um, so confused. But, hey, that's why, by the way, you get a doorbell. That's why, right there. I used to not have one, and that is the best purchase I ever made, getting a doorbell camera for stuff like that right there. So, yeah, I kind of feel like that's what was happening on the old ding dong. Yeah, they were not intimidating at all. Like they weren't going to commit violence against me or anything. There's like they stopped and turned around and like waved, but I still hear it out there. I don't know what they're doing. The mic a little off. Oh, there's nothing I can do about that now. But anyway, to the comments, LSU is sure spending a large amount, and if Kiffin doesn't perform well his first year, I wonder what that fan base will say. Oh, you know exactly what they'll say. There is an insane amount of pressure on him. There are no excuses. There's an insane amount of pressure on him. Can he handle it differently than he did last year? We'll see. Isn't it funny how all LSU fans are talking about his Ole Miss? Yeah, I mean, I would be. I would. I mean, what are you going to talk about? The Texas Bowl? Coaches going back and forth is bananas. It's absolutely insane. And look, there's nothing you can do about it, or maybe there is at this point. Again, there's been a lot of rumors going around about some things that have happened during practice or around the lead up to this game. I sure hope it's not true. There's no reason to believe it is true as of this moment. There's been nobody credible that has confirmed any of it. So you hope it's just people talking and just kind of saying things for the sake of saying things. But I sure hope it's not. But regardless, the normalization of this situation is a little bizarre to me. None of this is normal. Ole Miss's play caller for the Georgia game next week in the college football playoff is right now working for LSU. Right now. And so I don't care if they got sent home. I don't care if they have days off. That doesn't matter to me at all. And maybe I'm just kind of talking out of my rear end. Somebody like a Tyler Siskey probably would tell me I'm crazy because he's actually lived in this world. But if I had a college football playoff game to coach in next week against a team that beat me, even if the coach is like, y'all take 5 days off, I'm not taking 5 days off. I couldn't disconnect like that, regardless if it's Christmas or not. I'd take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then I'd work up until then, and I'd get my ass right back to work. I'm literally doing that this week because of the playoff. I'm choosing to work more because of the playoff. I could not. I truly could not just put that aside and I'll pick it up in a few days, regardless of how much prep happened before this moment. It is bizarre. It's weird. It's different. It's bananas, whatever adjective you want to use, but it's not normal, and normalizing it is a big problem to me. This should not be talked about as if it's fine. It's not fine. It may work out. It's not Pete's fault. It's not Ole Miss's fault. It's not the players' fault. And again, they could go win next week. The team is good enough to go win next week. But it's not fine at all. Do the Saints have a shot at winning the division next season? Yes. Especially if they go get a running back and a wide receiver to surround Shuck. They need to get better on the interior offensive line as well. But yeah, I mean, shit, man. If a couple bounces go their way, they'd be in the mix for the division right now. Forget my language. Heading to the blender tomorrow for the Mavs game. Maybe they can make it 5 in a row. What a turnaround that this team has made. It's almost like when you have an assistant on staff for multiple years that's an offensive guru that players respect and want to play for. And Instead of firing the coach that can't win and his players have quit on and going to the guy that they won't a year ago would have been the right move, and instead you doubled and tripled down on something that wasn't working. Keep hearing people in Ole Miss circles that don't care for Pete Golding's language, but I don't mind it. It makes him seem just like one of the guys on Lane Kiffin. It's fine. I'm the type of person, I think decorum should matter, especially when talking about politicians, people in leadership roles, in that kind of space. Pete Golding's a football coach. His job is to get a group of 18 to 23-year-olds to commit physical violence better than a different group of 18 to 23-year-olds. It's okay if his language is not polished. He's not a politician. He's a football coach, and some football coaches are politicians. He's not one. That's what he does. It doesn't bother me. State fan, but what in the world happened to Ole Miss basketball? Obviously, the Sweet 16 run is good for Ole Miss, but Beard is on his way with 2 bad years in 3 years. Any concerns are going forward? You give them a pass in year one. They can't score. They can't score the basketball. Maybe a couple of missed evaluations in there too. I do wonder if they need a true GM and if that would help some. So Frank Wilson is hired as running back coach to replace Kevin Smith? Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. LSU is throwing money at these coordinators to ensure they're the highest paid, a hard opportunity to turn down, but the whole situation is odd. Without specifics, if you had to predict out next year, do you think Ole Miss quarterback for next season is currently on the roster or not? If I had to guess, and that's all it is, my answer would be no. Although if Trinidad's waiver gets denied, I guess there's a chance Simmons comes back. But his post-game behavior last night was that of somebody that knows that he's leaving and was sad about it. I don't think Trinidad's going to get his waiver. Now that I said that, he's going to. So congratulations. And the people that are talking about that it's a given that he goes to LSU are a little misguided. Maybe he ends up going there, but if you think it's a slam dunk, you're just wrong. Pete might not have much choice in the matter right now. Maybe not, but again, that somebody like it, Tyler Siskey, would be able to have much better insight on this than me. How valuable is Joe Cox right now anymore? I mean, truly, is he the difference between winning and losing next week? Especially when he's not helping you right now? I don't know. Again, Pete's going to get asked about it tomorrow. That'll be able to put a lot of my questions to bed, possibly. Because I've got a lot of questions, and if the answers are good, then the answers are good. So they're spending a ridiculous amount for these coaches. It's insane for first year. What if they go 7-5 again next season? Well, I don't think they'll do that. But there's a chance they underachieve. They are done coaching to me. Next staff will coach against Georgia. I don't think that you can do that with Baker and Charlie. I don't think that that's a viable option. We all know the video today by LSU was intentional. Lane is so mad that he's tweeting through it. Oh, he tweeted through it all day yesterday. Those other staffers, besides Charlie Weiss, need to stay gone. This back and forth stuff is ridiculous. See, I'm glad I'm not the only one here. I'm glad I'm not the only one here that thinks it's too far now. It's enough now. You play Georgia next week. I don't care if you have if you were given the day off. You still should be around. Well, they're balancing 2 jobs. They shouldn't be. That's the point. We're talking about Georgia in the playoffs. Yesterday was probably very vindicating for Charlie Weiss. Yeah, it was. For some reason, people got mad at Pete's comments praising the offensive coordinator yesterday. Very odd. Why post everything on social media? It was an intentional thing. That's why. Lane's an absolute amazing coach, but I believe the grass isn't always greener on the other side. We will soon find out. We know no one will give Ole Miss a sliver of a chance to beat Georgia. The players, I think, like that angle, and probably Pete too. Oh, there's no doubt that they like that and they'll use that. But they also should have some internal self-belief that they can win that game. Multiple people believe that John Summerall took a shot at Lane when he said Pete will actually take pride in being the Ole Miss coach. Do you feel like Lane thought he was above Ole Miss? And if so, why? Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. And why? Here's why, Austin. Here's the obvious answer. Because Ole Miss didn't have coaches before him succeed. When you're obsessed with titles and Heismans that you did not win, it's because you feel like you need to lean on somebody else's work for yourself to be successful. Compare him to Kirk Cinetti. There's a difference. But yes, he absolutely felt like he belonged at a different job. And it was his own actions that prevented him from getting that kind of job. And desperation is the only reason why he got the one that he did. But yeah, absolutely was above Ole Miss. That's what he thought. He did great. Did a great job there. But yes, without a doubt. We have a week and a half before the game, but Pete needs to address this stuff. He'll get a chance tomorrow. It's going to take the air out of the whole thing if they don't coach the rest of the way. Will it, though? Again, Joe Cox, what I keep, like, quote-unquote, calling him out, but what does his departure take the air out of anything? Seriously, where does the air go if you tell him, hey, you can stay there. Enough is enough. Where does the air go? They're excited about the live show tonight. Yeah, the people in my front yard. You know, for a school that claims they don't consider Ole Miss rivals, they're doing nothing to benefit that cause. Yeah. How true do you think it is that they're going to push LSU on Kewan? Do you think that there's enough money to keep him, or is it all about Smith? There's enough money to keep him. You know, let's talk through that line of thinking, by the way, that Ole Miss is just driving the price up on Kewan Lacey. Let's think through that for a second. Is Ole Miss offering Kewan Lacey a lot of money to drive the price up to get after LSU, or is Ole Miss offering Kewan Lacey a lot of money because he's a really good player for Ole Miss and they would like to keep him? Which one do you think it is? Like, let's think about that for a second. Is it they're driving the price up just to get after LSU? Or is it, hey, this guy's really good, had a hell of a season, beloved by the fan base, and I would like to keep him here. So let's pay him what it takes to keep him here. Which one makes more sense? If Kewan leaves, Harlem Berry will go with Frank Wilson to Ole Miss, and another one as well. What are the rumors? I don't know if it's true or not. I don't. But enough people have asked about, you know, maybe there was some violating of what was understood to be true if you were allowed to stay and coach the playoffs. I don't know if it's true or not, but people have been talking about that has happened leading up to the game on Saturday, that there had been some violating of the agreement when it comes to other players. Don't know if it's true. Best Christmas movie, Elf. Pretty sad that Charlie Weiss Jr. will be overshadowed by Lane at LSU next season. He chose that, though. Did think Pete was aggressive in spots yesterday, and that is promising for the future. Sometimes defensive coaches give off a conservative vibe, not Pete, though. Yeah, he made a couple of quote-unquote risky decisions. He managed the game beautifully yesterday. He was ready for it. He was ready for it, clearly. And I'm sure there's going to be growth and things like that to go with it, but he's ready for it. Pete's postgame presser was really good. Yeah. Yeah. He's sharp. Just watched Christmas Vacation for the first time ever today with your fiance and her family. Wasn't expecting to like it. Yeah. I can't believe it took you that long. Tyler said they had 9 days in New Orleans and worked 7 till 11 every day. Exactly. I mean, that's what I keep going back to. What do you think Kirby Smart's staff is doing today? What do you think Kirby Smart's staff did today? You think they traveled to Auburn? You think that's what they did today? That's what you're up against now. It's different when it's Tulane and you're better than them, but you are up against the standard bearer of the sport now. And that program, that well-oiled machine. Where's Mike Bobo today? Where's Glenn Schumann today? I don't think this is nothing. Went to the game yesterday, but went back and watched the broadcast. Wow, looked elite on TV. Absolute big-time atmosphere. Crazy how such a, quote, small stadium can host a playoff game. It was beautiful. Everything about it. Why aren't more people talking about Maddox? Oh, there's just only so much bandwidth to go around, you know. So weird that we're supposed to hear about the waiver for 2 weeks in a row. Makes me think that it might have gotten back and not be positive. Well, don't forget the NCAA drags their feet on stuff like that. Would take a guess if Trinidad got the waiver, he would return. Other than that, it's a quarterback from elsewhere. I do think there's some momentum for him to return. I do think so. Over under 8 wins next season. Ooh. You give me a half. You got to give me a half. If you give me 7.5, I would go over by 0.5, I think. But, I mean, who knows? Who knows who's going to be on the team? I have no idea in the portal era. LSU's putting some money on the table. They don't obviously have between $200 and $250 million starting from last year's team, this team next season, and 2 different coaches and staffs. It's insane. How much leeway do you give Pete in his first season as head coach? It feels like there's too much momentum to have anything less than 8 wins. Tell me who they get in the portal first. Wonder if they're staying there instead of spending Christmas Eve and Christmas with their families in Oxford. And that's another thing. Like, did their families even up and move yet? Anyway, I'm probably talking about this too much. Hypothetically, let's say all 15 SEC jobs open this year. How many would Lane have wanted to leave to? Everyone that has a Heisman and a national championship, because that is what matters. Do you believe people internally at LSU are secretly regretting the hire? Absolutely not. When you get a new hire, you are, and look, he'll win there. He'll win. He'll win. Do we see the playoffs again within the next 3 years in Oxford? I mean, they're going to expand it to 16 too. That is definitely coming this offseason. So, thoughts on the other playoff games from this weekend and the discussion of the expansion in G5s. We'll talk about that along the radio show tomorrow too. But win probably played a bigger factor in A&M Miami than we thought. But A&M a little fraudulent if you kind of look into the season that they had, especially in conference play. That was probably coming. Alabama, Oklahoma was fascinating. Because I think simply if Oklahoma does not blow a punt and throw a pick six, that they win that game going away. The only reason to me that Alabama was able to come back in that game was Oklahoma opened the door for them, that they didn't open it themselves necessarily. But Kalen DeBoer needed that win. It was a really impressive win. I do wonder if Michigan's waiting on him. And then with the G5s, look, I like that the G5s have access to the playoff. I don't think that they should be shut out completely. I think that they should earn it more than being gifted automatic bids because of a poor format, if that makes sense. The format needs to change. The access needs to change, but I don't think it needs to go away. If you earn it, you earn it. I don't think that Tulane and James Madison collectively earned it the way I'm talking about. James Madison did not have a win over a top 50 team this season. They played one group of a Power 4 team, and that Power 4 team beat them. They didn't earn the spot. At least Tulane beat 2 Power 5 teams on their way to it. But top 16, 1 through 16 get in, and about 40% of the time in that format, a G5 team gets in anyway. There's your access. Every school in America wants Key1. Let's not act like Ohio State isn't calling. Exactly. Like the whole concept of just driving the price up on LSU is just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It makes no sense at all. Chinley in a year for a running back, way overpaying for a running back. If you get the Key1 Lacey that you got this year, next year, it's worth every penny. What offensive starters do you believe Ole Miss retains? Not many, simply because most of them are gone. I mean, Stribling and Wallace are gone. Daquan Wright's gone. Both tackles are gone. To the NFL, gone. I think, I don't know, I'm just guessing, quarterback's gone because he won't get his waiver. So who's left in terms of starters? The interior of the offensive line will stay. I think Caden Lee's going to stay. Deuce Alexander's going to get presented a package to stay. His comments after the game also kind of led you to believe that, LSU is going to have to really overpay if they want him because he didn't, it's worth looking into. 3 Sugar Bowls in 10 years. Not many SEC schools can say that. I agree. It's impressive. I agree that it's impressive. Not I agree with the stat. The stat can't be disagreed with. But you know what I mean. Almost on the lines of scrimmage is better now than they were when they played Georgia the first time. We'll see if it holds up then. Defensive line playing much better as well. And Jalen Braxton being healthy, I think, helps. Opinions on the stadium expansion. I want to see it first. I like the concept, the basically subleasing their land so they don't have to capital fundraise for it, but I want to see the concepts first before I start thinking they're good or bad. That's a cool stat. Has a SEC team ever won 9 home games? I would doubt it. I'll have to look into that, though. Serious question. Why does Ole Miss get called small and unimpressive, but Oregon is roughly the same size? 10,000 seats fewer, and they haven't won anything nationally yet either. One is loved, one is vilified. Ole Miss is not vilified, unless you're just talking about burner accounts online. But Lane's bitching is why Ole Miss and Vaught Hemingway have the reputation that it has when it comes to stadium. It's because of him. It's his fault. The way he talked about it. Who hasn't won there? Sure, he'll win, but if he has 2 seasons with 3 losses, it could get interesting. LSU's lost 3 or more games in 13 of their last 14 seasons. There's your stat of the day. You going to get any cool Sugar Bowl merch as a media member? I don't know what they're going to – I don't know if we get anything like that or not. I will buy some, though. I like the college football playoff logo. It's really cool. Exactly. See, Boise earned it last year. Boise State earned that bid. They belonged, and they would have belonged in the top 16, 1 through 16. They would have belonged. They earned it. James Madison, I don't believe, earned it. When you don't have a top 50 win, you didn't earn a spot in the playoff. I'm sorry. Need a Color Rush Sugar Bowl, please? That would be so cool. Georgia red, Ole Miss powder. That'd be sick. Appreciated going back to traditional uniforms, end zones, and no more basketball goal. Party in the SIP and the away unis need to go next. Get back to the white with red. Tulane and James Madison ruined it for the G5 schools, possibly. If you're Greg Sankey today and someone asked you to judge the prestige of your schools in your league, where would you put Ole Miss, top 8 or bottom 8? Top 8. Prestige is an interesting word, but in terms of quality of the program as it sits today, yeah, it's absolutely in the top tier. Do you like Georgia Bulldogs football? No, I do not. I don't dislike Georgia, though. Not like that. I just I've been to Athens. I enjoyed my time in Athens. Was treated well besides the barking. I don't know why people barked at me. I didn't like that. I'm scarred from that. You're barking. You're an adult barking at another adult. What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Is really like, well, you good, man? Why are you barking at me? Other than that, I liked Athens. I enjoyed my time there. It was a good town. Seemingly pretty good people, too. At least in my experience. What's funny is Tulane played significantly better, and it was still a mauling. Yeah, Retzloff was really good last night, by and large, compared to the first game anyway. If they're coaching at LSU next year, why would they be ultra motivated to beat Georgia in LSU's backyard? I mean, would you put it past Lane to be there? It's kind of hard to stop a guy from buying tickets, isn't it? LSU, in terms of competing for championships, is literally a window program. You know, people talk about history a lot. That's what history says. Do you know where I can buy the same hoodie Pete had on? I think that's a team-issued thing only, but here, let me check. Let me see if they have any out there. I think that's a team-only thing, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong. No way Kirby likes Lane. There is apparently they're buddies. There is absolutely no way Kirby respects what Lane did. There's no way. Kirby's built different. Expect much better second round games. I expect them all to be good. Imagine telling someone at the start of 2024 that the 2014 would go 9-3. They'd lose 90% of their starters and be 12-1 in the playoffs. It's amazing. It really is. And that's the worst part about this from Lane's PR perspective. He did a hell of a job this year. I mean, the coaching job was great this year. But the fascinating part about it is they looked the same. Now, he hired the staff that did all that, so that's to his credit. But they look the same. If they look the same next week too, his real skill might be hiring staff. He's good at that. He was at Ole Miss the whole way. You think Kirby will talk about Lane and any of his lead-up presser? Yeah, not negatively, though. No, he'll keep it. He'll get asked, I'm sure, and he'll keep it. Just kind of coach speak. He's good about that. But anyway, I got to go, guys. I really appreciate you. As always, we'll be back on Tuesday. Christmas Eve, right? Isn't that Tuesday? Christmas Eve. We'll be back on Tuesday. Pete will talk to the media, and there will be a lot to take away from that. So we'll talk about that here as well. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.